shocking about this, the info is better than Sony said. Like Sony said it was going
But
to
the
be.
comparisons are practically identical. And this is why people don't like the PS5 Pro, because Sony's trying to justify as to why their community should spend $700 just so they can play some remasters and remakes. And guess what? When those games don't get remastered, we get a Bloodborne situation where the game still runs at 30 FPS and you can't even tell the difference even if you use a slider. Like, I mean, come on, man. Oh, it's just there to increase the image quality of these PS4 titles. And what's even more funny, even the Xbox One X has done a far better job at doing that than what you're getting with this PlayStation 5 Pro, even though the console is more powerful. 17 teraflops of power, and yet you guys can't even run a PS4 game at 60 FPS. Come on, man.
Be good. It's better than the early release.
Oh, no, it's
numbers,
not.
but
Oh, no, it's not, because Sony promised all this super spectral resolution AI technology, and yet for some reason, every time we look at these video game comparisons on Digital Foundry, they all look the same. The only difference is that, oh, look, the text is a little bit more clearer and cleaner in the in the Pro version. I mean, go look at that grass foliage. Like, really?
let's take a look at this leak because people are kind of digging into the fact that it's kind of wild how good the Pro is going to be. Let's get into it. I hope you're having a great time with this. Is that the big boost in power makes the Pro a stronger system with less load times, with better graphics, with less pop-in, but it's not a PlayStation 6. This is just definitely a better version of a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, and what's even more funny about that is the fact that you guys are paying $700 just so you can play Bloodborne at 30 FPS. Oh yeah, I'm going to keep saying it. Oh, now it's about frame rate games. Like, yes, because it's a PS4 game, and yet for some reason, Sony got all this power underneath this hood, but yet we're not seeing it with their own PS4 games. Really? Oh, let me guess. They'd rather remaster and remake it at 60 FPS and have you people pay for an additional $10 upgrade. I mean, Sony's out here suckering you fools, man. And the PS5 Pro ain't nothing but a disappointment.
Some of the specs make me think it is going to be closer to the PlayStation 4 to
Look
the
at that.
PlayStation 4 Pro than I originally assumed. So
Look at
here
this.
it is. It's all in Portuguese, but people have translated it. Essentially, the big things that instantly jumped out at me is the fact that it's got more RAM, which makes the graphics better, and this, the DDR5 for operations.
Which has nothing to do with gaming.
DDR5 2 gigs. That means that in general, the system...
That's what they did with the extra RAM? Just use it for operations to give you guys a more smoother interface? Are you kidding me, bro? Like, this is embarrassing, man. The fact that you people are defending this PS5 Pro for $700, I'm surprised you haven't brought up them teraflops.
is going to run a lot better in a bunch of different ways. We're going to get to that in a sec. I want to take a look, though, at this side by side. The PlayStation 5 Pro versus the base PS5. What you'll notice, 16.7 teraflops versus 10 teraflops. Now, people kind of make fun of that because teraflops is not the most hard number. Not necessarily higher number doesn't mean better games or bigger graphics every single time, because there is other background aspects of it. I think
Of course.
the Xbox Series X is a good example of this, where the Series X has a lot of teraflops, but obviously games seem to run a lot better on the PS5.
That's incorrect, because every Unreal Engine 5 game that I've seen in comparison on a lot of these comparison channels, the Xbox Series X version, 9.9, now you know what, 10 out of 10 times runs better than the PS5 version, bro. That is not fiction, that is facts. Unreal Engine 5 is a graphically demanding engine. Matter of fact, I would go as far to say that State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, as well as Gears E-Day, even the new Halo game, are all being developed with the Unreal Engine 5 in mind. When you got Sony out here doing Unreal Engine 4 games. Ain't nobody want to hear this nonsense, man. And the time when you guys do an Unreal Engine 5 game, you get a buggy mess like you got with Until Dawn Remake. Imagine that.
But here's the other thing of it. 2 terabytes SSD, the 520 gigabyte SSD.
Krispy Kreme's glazed donuts.
This is, in my opinion, unfortunately mandatory. I think the storage on these systems, it's the fact that games are too dang big. I mean, I love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 16 is like 100 gigs.
And what's even more crazy is the fact that games haven't even got that completely big yet, because a lot of these games are just more like low demanding games, cross generation titles. We haven't even gotten into those true next generation games, guys. And look, you people are already complaining about it.
Hundreds of gigs. If you're somebody that likes Call of Duty or something like that, that's like 200 gigs. So,
well, I don't think they care, because that's the only game that they got on their hard drive, so they don't care about all that other stuff. I think they're perfectly fine with their 825, because all they do is play the same game anyway. You're acting as if these people play other games, and they don't.
On the original base PS5, this thing got filled up instantly, and to me, that definitely irks me. So the fact that now we're launching with a 2 terabyte SSD, this is good.
And Mystic has brought up that DDR5 memory has more to do with the system's operations. It has nothing to do with enhancing the gameplay. Come on, bro.
It sucks that so many games are so massive. 2 terabytes of PS4 games is hundreds of games. 2 terabytes of PS5 games is like 5 games. So I'm glad they're doing this. Added 2 gig DDR5 memory, which we're going to take a look at a post specifically about that.
And it has nothing to do with the games. They added 2 gigabytes of extra memory for the interface, but not the games.
Wi-Fi 7 support. Now, I asked a friend of mine about this. Essentially, he said that different versions of Wi-Fi are like different channels of the Pro. The Pro is a very, very smartly designed machine.
No, it's not, because the system is bottlenecked. I can guarantee you a lot of the games are going to have performance issues. That's probably why Sony's removing a lot of those options out of the games, because the day you decide to actually tamper with it, if this was a PC and you was able to tamper with it, your games would be running like garbage, because y'all be thinking y'all can run everything in high quality and still be able to get 60 FPS, and your game is going to be running like garbage. See, you people don't know nothing about technology, man. The CPU's the same.
Part of it that I want to talk about, which is that this seems really, really, really beefy. A lot of the comments over on the PS5 Reddit seem to be kind of just impressed by the power of it, but a lot of people are saying, I'm still satisfied with my Slim. It does seem like the big hurdle, even when you start to see those side-by-side comparisons and the technical talks.
Talk about it.
Like Digital Foundry. A lot of people are still in that camp where it's saying, okay, this is good, but if I already have a PS5 and I'm already loving my PS5, what makes the Pro that substantially worth that massive price tag, right? Well, here's this. More RAM, faster memory, higher bandwidth, 2 terabyte storage, 45% beefier GPU, RDNA features such as machine learning at the hardware level, spectral super resolution.
Oh, here we go
to
Super Saiyan crap.
Frame rate a lot more consistent, a lot better, vastly improved ray tracing.
Yeah, but don't you guys know that the ray tracing is only going to impact your performance?
This
is a bottleneck.
Across the board, this thing is very, very nice. But here's the post that actually inspired this video more than anything else, which is this guy kind of doing an explanation as to what I've ever seen in my life. The fact that not only do we see the reflection of Alan Wake, do we see these cops talking on the street or on a standard PS5, this is Spider-Man running at 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro. So
now that does look infinitely better. I can clearly tell you, I thought you were an Xbox fan. No, I'm telling you, it definitely looks a lot better on the Pro. And like I said, it's going to be for very specific games. More than likely games that haven't really struggled. You know what I mean? Or even games that have, like Rebirth running on an old Unreal Engine 4. So it's going to definitely be there for some of these games. Now, is it really a night and day difference? No, it really isn't. It's not going to single-handedly be like, oh my God, you're not getting that, bro. Matter of fact, you probably could buy a quality TV and get the same experience that you're getting with the Pro.
Graphics and the frame rate are essentially being doubled.
It does look good, though. Effects, for this game, it looks good.
I've heard a lot of developers, this is like a couple years back, talking about, will we really stick with ray tracing? I heard some developers kind of talk about the fact that ray tracing is very difficult to do. It absorbs a lot of power.
A lot of resources.
It necessarily tanks the frame rate in order to put out what essentially are these hyper-realistic reflections of...
Which is the bottleneck of the PS5 Pro. Now you're starting to understand it, but unfortunately you keep glazing it.
Water, of puddles, of light refraction and stuff like that. But when I think of this, when I look at this, I think we might be able to keep the ray tracing going, right?
See, I think the only reason why Marvel Spider-Man 2 did it so well is because it didn't have an issue on the PS5. You get what I'm saying? I feel like the games that do have issues on the PS5, like, well, in some cases, like, I feel like it depends, right? It depends on the game. I think it's only going to help with Rebirth because it's an Unreal Engine 4 game and that's outdated. But I do think, like, for certain games, like, I don't really think it's going to enhance it that much. Like, I think the reason why this game did well was because, or the visual quality were able to add that extra graphical boost because the game didn't really struggle with frame rate and the game didn't really struggle with the resolution. So obviously it's just a much more refined, visual quality as well, maybe some performance options. So it wasn't struggling. But any game that struggles on the PS5 is also going to struggle on the Pro. I can guarantee you that. And I could say, and the reason why I can say that confidently, because of that CPU. That's the reason why.
This is such a good look. It is so realistic. I do feel like this is the kind of stuff that does look like the future of gaming to me. This looks kind of wild to me. Honestly, the more PS5 Pro leaks we see, the more I kind of feel like Sony at least somewhat mismarketed it, right? It feels like Sony was trying to be as careful as possible, clear with the messaging as possible.
Oh, yeah, because they didn't want to have that whole 8K, 120 frames debacle. And guess what? This system still can't even do it. So yet again, Sony has lied to you for the second consecutive time now.
I feel like they should have waited to talk about that $700 price tag because that's still the biggest deal breaker. In fact,
it really isn't.
A lot of these comments
it really isn't because I would have picked up the Pro. I wanted to get one. What are you talking about? It's not that. It's the fact that there's no games. It's two, that the hardware, because once you're able to break down hardware, guys, especially as a console gamer, you will realize, like, dang, I'm really putting $700 for something, and it's really not that much of a drastic improvement. You can able to articulate these things, and this is why PC gamers laugh at you guys, because they understand that you console gamers can't articulate things. And what's so funny, he brings up the fact that, oh, yeah, I was so surprised that Sony, went with 16 teraflops. How are you surprised? Because I thought y'all said it was going to be 33. Like, really? Just for it to be half of that.
Oh, $700, man. I cannot pay that much.
What do you mean? That guy said he can't wait to pre-order, bro. Look, this man is such a grifter, bro. Y'all didn't see that? Bro, come on, man. Y'all can claim me as an Xbox fanboy all you want, man. But this man's clearly grifted, bro. That dude clearly said he wanted one. Hold on, let's go back. This man's out here lying, man. Look at that. He talking about, oh, yeah, everybody's talking about they don't want one. But then he sees a comment, right? Watch, I'm going to reiterate what he's about to do. He sees this comment, right? And this is why Paris had a problem with him. He sees this comment and then says, oh, no, nobody wants one. Look, just look.
Man, I cannot pay that.
He read it. I cannot wait for one. And then he flipped it in the video, man. Just admit it, man. The rent need to be paid.
But I do think
y'all want to see that again. Hold on.
Here is $700, man. I cannot pay that much.
Yeah, he did not say that, bro. That man did not say that, bro. I don't even like the Pro, but that man did not say that, bro. You out here lying. I told y'all. Man, I can't. He said that telling that guy. Oh, that dude said he can't pay that much, bro. He said he can't wait for his to arrive, bro. Like, what? Come on, man. I don't like the way he be doing these videos, man.
But I do think that if they'd start off and said, here is a PS5 game,
that is not a PS5, that's a PS3
game. Here's how much better the frame rate is, showing the double frame rate, showing all that kind of stuff. I feel like that would have won people.
They can't do that. You know why? Because most of the games that they've already pushed out, which is Marvel Spider-Man 2, was already 60 FPS. How is Sony going to sell that to? That's why Sony has been completely quiet about this whole ordeal, because they know that most of the features they've added are not going to really see any significant benefits.
Over. My final thought of this video, and I'll let you guys go, is I am seeing people that are breaking down these technical specifications, and essentially they're saying, this stuff is good, this stuff is great, this stuff is impressive, but don't expect it to change the game too much. Now, the reason I see people saying that is because there are some talks that people are assuming that GTA 6, Grand Theft Auto 6, is somehow going to run at like 100 FPS or be 60 FPS with ray tracing. These graphics are very, very good. I kind of have a feeling that as good as GTA 6 is going to be, I don't think that game's going to run above 60 FPS, and I don't think it's going to have ray tracing 60 FPS.
You sure? Because you ponies were saying that for the longest, and now that you finally looked at that spec sheet, now y'all want to sit there and change your opinions, man. These were the same people that said they thought the PS5 was going to be 33 teraflops.
Spider-Man does. If it does, I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I just kind of get a feeling that the high...
If Red Dead Redemption 2 ain't doing it, then clearly that game ain't doing it either.
And crazy technical pushers, the really big stuff, is still not going to be as beefy as you probably hope. But
you see, even Dreamcast guys admitting to you guys. So for all those people thinking that the Pro is going to knock the Series X and all these other platforms, PCs even out of the water, it's not. Now, if you're a PlayStation fanboy such as himself and you want some form of enhancements, even though it's not really worth the price of admission, well, there you go. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of these type of games, like for example, like the Bloodborne that you guys are anticipating, you're going to be playing that at 30 FPS, man, until Sony decides to remaster or remake the game. And what's even more laughable, Sony's doing this on purpose because they could do this for the PS5, bro. They can put 60 FPS on the PS5 version. And for you people say, oh, Sony can't do that. They can't put Bloodborne remaster. They can only do that for 60 FPS on the Pro because they have more. But no, that's not true. That's not true because it's a PS4 game. Y'all playing PS4 games on your PS5 anyway. And every time they do it, it is what, guys? 60 FPS. Sony just wants to charge you again for the console and then on top of the update or the upgrade, whatever they want to call it. Sony is scamming y'all with their hardware, their software. They're scamming y'all with everything, man. That's why you got to give a much shout out to Microsoft because Microsoft don't be doing this type of garbage. Halo Infinite, 4K 120, no pay. You get it. You get the update for free. But PlayStation, no. Bloodborne running at 30 FPS? Really? That's a game that Sony owns, bro. And they keeping that game at 30 FPS because if it was an Xbox game, it would already been at 60, bro. It would have already been at 60. And this is what we try to tell you, that Sony don't care about the community and they don't care about you because this PS5 Pro is bottlenecked. It is bottlenecked. You're probably going to get good performance and resolutions on games that didn't really struggle with it. You probably will. You'll get some good image quality, get some good performance options for games that didn't struggle. But for games that did struggle, it's just going to be an uphill battle because they got this extra ray tracing, RAM, or whatever have you, which is good. That's probably the most important aspect because even he said higher teraflops doesn't mean the system's more powerful. So according to your logic, then this system ain't that powerful either because it has 16 teraflops. Like, what type of mathematics are you guys doing here? Okay? What type of mathematics? Now, he is absolutely right in that regard, but because things is different and how these systems are, even though they're just very similar, but they articulate things different in how Microsoft and Sony have developed them. But you got me when you said that the PS5 had better running games than Xbox, when you could clearly look at a lot of comparison videos and see that the Xbox Series X has better Unreal Engine 5 games. Clearly. They all, Space Marine 2 runs beautifully on the Series X, and it runs like crap on the PS5. I have even PS5 gamers telling me this. Stop capping, bro. It's just like, me as a person, just keep things real. Like, for example, y'all call me an Xbox fanboy, but then I sat there and kept it real when I said I seen the PS5 version of Spider-Man, and then I seen the Pro version. What did I tell you? Did I tell you that it looked the same, or did I tell you that it looked better? You know what I said. I said it looked better in the Pro. Oh, okay, that's pretty good. I wasn't hating. Stop putting me in this category of these losers in the internet. I don't be hating. If I see something and it look impressive, I'm going to sit there and say it regardless. Nintendo beat. I don't care. I have no horse, no pony intended. No horse in this race. I don't care. I have all platforms. But I'm not going to stand for this hypocrisy. I'm not going to stand for these lies and these deceptions. That's all it is, man. I'm going to call it the way it is. Bloodborne running at 30 FPS is unnecessary. We know what Sony's going to do with that game. They're going to re-release it, resell it, and there you go. You're going to have another Until Dawn remake situation. That's what's going to happen. It is what it is, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, man. And like I said, and keep dreaming.